So I invite Margret and Karen, Margret Gibbs and Karen Campbell. Margret, you are known to many of us, Baptist minister, you've served with BMS, but Karen, you aren't a Baptist, you are with the URC. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. I am a member of the United Reformed Church. I am their Secretary for Global and Intercultural Ministries, and I'm based at URC Church House.
Praise the Lord. And I'm based in South London, Perry Rise Baptist Church, which is a majority Caribbean and West African congregation.
Thank you. So Margret and Karen are representing the National Racial Justice Hub. So, on your marks, who's going first? Margret. On your marks, get set, go.
If you visit the coast of West Africa today, you can't help stumbling over slave fortress after slave fortress, resembling a row of broken teeth in a beautiful face. These were run by European powers over centuries, with Britain commanding the lion's share of the trade. Countless men and women, boys and girls, were abducted and trafficked through these places, and their suffering is even palpable today. And it is shocking that this trade was perpetrated by Christians. In one castle, the enslavers' chapel was built directly over the main dungeon with an inscription from the Psalms, "The Lord makes his home in Zion." Shackles were bolted to the limbs and necks of innocent Africans, but without realizing it, those who fixed them were simultaneously chained with invisible bonds which extend to us today. Theirs was the sin, ours the responsibility of restoration and justice. Each fortress had a door of no return through which enslaved people were herded onto ships that would take them away from everything that was familiar, never to return. And as they departed lamenting, their captors equally moved through a different kind of door of no return, which has remained tightly shut until this day.
The UK wealth generated by transatlantic slavery is yet to be fully calculated. Many of our key institutions were built on it. Universities, banks, even churches grew from the proceeds of oppression, and only now is research revealing the staggering event to which the UK still benefits from the profits of enslavement. In 1834, slavery was abolished in Britain. The British government paid £20 million in compensation to slave owners, funded through loans. And that debt was only cleared in 2015 by us, UK taxpayers. But no compensation of any kind was ever paid to the enslaved people. On their release, many starved. In Deuteronomy, at a time when slavery was part of the economic system, the people of God were expressly told, make sure that freed slaves take a proportion of the profits for their labor. They were not to be left destitute. God required those who had profited to exercise compassion. The relationship, unequal, was relational. And later, the outwardly pious rich young ruler was prepared to do anything but give up his wealth to follow Jesus. But note, it is all but impossible to become colossally wealthy without some form of collaboration or oppression, even if it happens unseen and far from home. We continue with Zacchaeus, this loathed character, acting legally according to his masters, but defrauding the vulnerable to make his pile. In contrast to the rich young man, however, Zacchaeus underwent a complete change of heart on meeting Christ. He made two payments. First was the heart's response to the undeserved forgiveness of Christ, a love gift. The second was different, intentional, planned, proportional payback, reparation. That required painful relational work. Whom did I defraud? By how much? There must have been conversations and humble listening. But notice Zacchaeus' if I have wronged anyone. It sounds like a politician's apology. Even so, salvation came.
So let's bring things up to date. For many now, reparations for historical injustices are becoming a defining issue for our time. Suddenly there is a move of the spirit. Secular institutions are getting involved. In 2020, Lloyd's of London committed to financial reparations for its founder's role in slavery. Glasgow University's pledged 20 million. Does that figure sound familiar? In partnership with the University of the West Indies. And what about the churches? What will they do? What will we do? Having retold the story of Baptist Deacon Sam Sharp, will we now rest on our laurels? Well, let's hear a bit more from a close partner in this journey.
In 2019, the URC started our focused response to the legacies of transatlantic slavery. This has included a long, hard, uncomfortable look in the mirror. For some, our benefit from transatlantic slavery is undeniably reflected. For others, the image is hazy or rejected. At General Assembly this year, July, we will consider 2 resolutions. First, the proposal for a URC apology and confession. But because words without actions are empty, cheap grace, we're also seeking commitment to repairing justice, practical restorative responses to the ongoing legacies. Ideas include UK truthful history projects, exploration of white privilege, promoting positive black self-understanding, campaigning for debt release for legacies of slavery nations, and supporting projects by global partners that they identify for themselves.
As Baptists together, we have started the journey. We have apologised, and this was a kairos moment for us as a denomination, but it's only a first step. Some very hard work into providing education and awareness raising have followed, but we have not yet taken action. Show me your faith, I'll show you my works. Gospel reconciliation's always hard and costly, but take heart.
One slave fort in Ghana has marked the outside of a certain door, the door of return, an invitation for descendants of those who were transported to return symbolically to what was lost. The descendants of those who sent the ancestors away also need a door of return. What steps might help us find the keys to that door?
The pressing conversation for us no longer begins with an if I've wronged anyone, but rather how and when shall we make reparation. To address this debt, we need another kind of family solution. Planned, sacrificial, humble, relational. Some of our monuments may sway or even fall. Can we afford it? Of course not. But we certainly can't afford not to. To continue to serve God together with integrity requires it. Your brothers' and sisters' blood cries out to me from the ground. Let us not miss this God-given opportunity for restoration at any price. And may the peace of Christ thoroughly disturb us until we too find our door of return. Thanks, everyone.
When and how shall we make reparation? Not if. When and how is the question we're being asked to consider.